I'm Molly Cooper, and this is a Snapshot episode where we bring you inside scoops from the travel, design and creative spheres. It's the same Curator Spaces content, now in coffee break conversations. In today's Snapshot episode, we're talking about hotels. From showcasing local artists to working with regional food producers, their influence goes way beyond simply providing a place to stay. And I'm delighted to welcome Kira Turnball, who started her career photographing hotels around the world over 10 years ago now. Kira, I can't wait to get into this topic with you. Welcome to Curator Spaces. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
No, well, thank you for having me in your denim studio, no less. It's very swanky.
Yeah, my husband's studio. We share an office in Shoreditch. And then he, we both are big travelers. So we're back and forth all the time. But it's good to have some workspace.
Definitely. A little base to come back to. Yeah, love it. I know you've had quite the life, actually, so I can't wait to get into A, hotels, but B, first of all, you and your background and sort of hear how you've ended up in East London.
Yeah, so I guess I had an interesting background growing up. I grew up in the Bahamas, actually, on a very remote island called Andros Island. Yeah, it was really cool. And my parents met down there in the 70s, and my dad's a marine biologist. My mom's an artist. So they just decided to stay.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. So it was very interesting growing up. It was me and my sister kind of running around barefoot on the beach and, kind of enjoying island life. And it was great. And actually, that's how I got into my love of travel and hotels, because I lived right next to a little dive resort called Small Hope Bay, and it was just a family-run resort. It's still there, and it was the first dive resort in the Bahamas. So I got kind of used to the hotel life a bit and being kind of entrenched in all that goes with it.
That just sounds so idyllic. I grew up near Manchester, and we just were not running around barefoot next to dive schools.
Yeah, listen, it had its faults, but it was amazing. And so I grew up there for about 13 years, and then we decided to move back to New York, where my dad's from. And so I kind of grew up half and half, both on islands still, but I got to experience life in the States and life right outside of living in New York City. So it was great. It was definitely a juxtaposition between the two worlds, but it was an experience I'll never regret.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, absolutely not. And then how did you get into photography? Obviously, you've got this amazing portfolio and you've really seen some incredible spaces. I'd love to hear a bit how that all started for you and how it's come to here.
Sure. Yeah. Creativity was always in my bones. My mom's an amazing painter, and my dad actually, when he started marine biology, he was scuba diving. And so in order to kind of look at research more critically, he would start photographing a lot of the specimens he was studying. And so he got really into underwater photography. And so, I was always creative. I was painting, I was drawing, I was doing fashion show design at 10. And, one summer I was really bored when I was 16, and my dad got me a camera. He got me a Nikon, I think it was D40 or something, a long time ago. And that was it.
The rest is history.
Yeah, that was it. And I just did it for fun, took some classes, and then after college is when I actually wanted to be a fashion photographer. So I looked at working at magazines, and then I got an interview at Travel and Leisure. And I didn't realize how big that was in the travel industry, really. I knew it was big.
This little mag called
just this little magazine. And, as an assistant, and you're starting from scratch and you're learning a lot of things, but I got it. And that really changed my life. Yeah.
Oh, I can so imagine just doing an absolute catapult into a different universe and go from there.
Yeah. You really don't realize it. And once I got in there, I just fell absolutely in love with hotels. I fell in love with travel. I realized I could combine all of my interests in one: photography, travel, design, people, culture. So it was really special. And, I was there for almost 5 years. So it was amazing.
And I think that's a really lovely segue actually into what we're going to talk about today, how hotels, they're not just beds, they're not somewhere to go and stay and just spend a night or lay your weary head. They are spaces that have a real role to play in the communities they're in, and they can do a lot more, especially in terms of design or leading the charge in sustainability or supporting local people. And I guess you've seen so many amazing hotels. You must have such a good understanding of how different hotels have approached this and sort of taken that responsibility on, I guess. And I'd love to hear a bit about your experience and what you've seen out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really lucky. I've gotten to, especially actually in the last 3 years, I've gotten to travel quite extensively, and I've visited some incredible hotels and some hotels that maybe not so much, but mostly incredible. I've worked with a great brand for the last 3 years called Small Luxury Hotels, and they have incredible, an incredible portfolio of different small hotels, small boutique hotels, and especially sustainable hotels. So I think when I started at TNL, I guess it was in 2014, the kind of idea of sustainable hotels and design-driven hotels was really starting. And you can kind of see how that's evolved over the last, the last 10 years. Yeah. I've been to some incredible places where they're really not just focusing on sustainable materials, but how they can give back to the communities, how they can work with local artisans and bring local design and studios into the hotel space. I feel like back when hotels were really becoming a thing back in the 60s and 70s, the golden era, it wasn't really about the community and the local culture and design. It was about, here are these amazing, robes that are from Paris, but you're all the way in like Fiji, so it wasn't sustainable. You had to bring everything over. So I think it is really cool to see how a lot of hotels are really giving back. They're building these spaces, and they realize that they also then have to contribute back to the people, back to the community, the culture.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting, this sort of shift you were talking about. And before, it feels like, you're right, hotels they'd pick a plot of land and they would have architects' plans drawn up half a world away, and they'd come and they'd build it and it sort of impose their vision on the local space and the community. And there was no real how do we weave in the local people, the culture, the history, the heritage. And actually, I think travel itself has really changed, and people don't want to go to a cookie cutter, the same hotel they've seen on another island somewhere else in the world. They really want to go and have this authentic, meaningful travel. Have you seen that sort of shift as well in this bigger travel sphere?
Yes, especially after COVID. Smaller hotels, more boutique-y hotels, considerate hotels became important. Not only because they were smaller spaces and people were trying to avoid getting COVID while also being on vacation and being with their family, but they realized that they wanted to give back to smaller businesses that had really suffered from COVID. So, from my experience and the people I know in the industry, that definitely was a massive trend, and it still continues to be. And, where I grew up in the Bahamas, the hotel, it's called Small Hope Bay Lodge, they actually did a lot of building locally just because, everything was there, all the resources. You go in and you walk inside of the main kind of lounge area, and, you have all this beautiful woodwork and carving from the Red Bays community, and they create all these local baskets made from silver top palms. So they're really using a lot of the resources that are around them. They'll grab driftwood, bring it in, carve it, or they'll take the driftwood and they'll make it into a bench. So I think they're actually a great example of using local materials and working with local communities to bring design and enhance your hotel experience.
Definitely. And then even in itself, just by doing that, it's so sustainable. You're not shipping in huge loads of materials and stuff when you actually have all these resources literally washing up on your beach in that case.
Literally washing up on your beach. You have shells and you go pick the shells, and then all of a sudden that's become a beautiful shell shelf. And, there's a lot of people that do that. I also, there's a great hotel around there called Kamalami Key, and my amazing friends own it, and they do very similar things. They'll take massive driftwood and, they'll grab all the thatch palm, and that's how they'll dry it, and then that's how they build all of their exterior bars. So I think it's a great idea. Actually, island hotels are a great example of how you use those local resources well, because you're on an island.
Exactly, yeah. And often it's the cheapest, easiest way to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then what about, so we're over in London, so quite far from a tropical island, especially on a day like today. Are there any sort of maybe more city or European hotels that really spring to mind when you think about hotels as sort of leading this charge and really setting a good example of how they can be a good neighbour, give back to communities, design and build responsibly?
Yeah, I mean, I actually think the Hoxton Hotels does a really good job at that. Yes. Yeah, they do a great job, and also bringing in local food and different cultures depending on where they're located. Yeah. I think they do a great job with that. They work with a company called Natural Mat. Yeah. That also, that's their mattress brand that they work with. So, the Hoxton, I've always had my eye on them since they started. And I know that when I was at Travel and Leisure, it was really big because they are huge about community building, whether it's design, whether it's, bringing in the culture or the neighborhood that you're located in. I mean, another great example in the UK is the Pig are the Pig Hotels. And they have this menu. I've been to a few, and they have this menu called I think it's the 20 or 25 mile menu. Yeah. So they want to make sure that all of their products and their produce comes locally. And you'll start to see more and more hotels do that. They're not going to ship in the oysters or the caviar. They're going to say, actually, these oysters aren't from the East Coast in New York. They're from, right outside in the mangroves. Yeah. Like in Brazil, that was another thing, is they try to showcase the local food.
Yeah, so important. And actually, a lot of it starts at the table. Like, you go to a hotel to stay, but you really sit down, you eat, you drink, you connect with whoever you're with, and it's all about sitting down, eating good food. And if it's come from that local area, it just takes your experience to a whole new level, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like Japan does a great job at that. Yeah.
A lot of people, when I ask them where they really want to go, they say Japan. And I think it's because they do such a good job there, don't they? They have such a Japanese style, a way of living, a way of eating. And it's just completely different to anywhere else in the world. They do such a good way of staying true to their heritage and their past. It makes it just such an appealing destination, doesn't it?
Yeah, I actually went to Japan for the first time this year. So it was so nice. Because there's a lot of connection there for me. My husband's brand is based in Japan. So he's always talked about it since we've been together. And then my parents, weirdly, they love Japanese design. I mean, it's not weird. It's beautiful. And so our house in the Bahamas is actually designed like a Japanese ryokan. Yeah. So, they have shoji screens, and they have bamboo, and, it's amazing. And they have tansu mats. And so when I went to Japan, you really do have this kind of new way of seeing things because of how they live and also what they value. You kind of feel like you slow down a bit. They are a lot of Japanese, they do perfect their craft, especially in design. I went to this amazing hotel. We were photographing it for small luxury hotels called Sawaka, right in kind of the old area of Kyoto. And so they really made sure they renovated the old ryokan, but they made sure that they preserved a lot of the design. And their water comes from the spring below. And they work with a lot of local artisans. So I thought that was fantastic. And I mean, the design in Japan really gave me a nice inspiration, I guess, because I'm building and we just bought our first home.
Congratulations.
So thank you. So I'm all my Instagram's just loaded with design now.
Yeah.
It's just everything Pinterest design.
Yeah. That's so, and there's actually something you said just then about this idea of craftsmanship. And actually that just feels like such a nice way to sort of summarize it up across whether it's food or design or whatever it is. Hotels, I think, can really focus on this idea of craft and putting it at the heart of whatever bit of that hotel journey it is. I think that's a very nice way of sort of saying it. And the other thing I want to touch on is you said just then about your parents and they built their own home.
Yeah.
I feel like that's such an interesting story. And I'd love to know if this would we've just been speaking about designing responsibly, consciously doing our bit for the planet. Is that something that they try to do in their own at-home project?
Yeah, I mean, building a house. They built their house from scratch in the Bahamas back in the 80s. Yeah, they were big hippies.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you have to think about what you can get there locally and what you need to ship in. And they do think about that. My mom's always buying these beautiful baskets. I now have her same obsession with baskets from, the local artisans that live there in the Red Bays community. They've been doing it for 150 years. And, we always like the idea of giving back to our home and the islands. And, using a batiking fabric. That's how my mom got her start down there. She ran a batiking company that was also part of the boutique hotel down there. And so it was lots of fabrics. So we would use those for design. But yes, they built their own house and it's still there. It's survived a few hurricanes. But yeah, they use a lot of antiques. So, they're resourcing old furniture that they can give and breathe new life into.
Yeah. And that's so interesting. I guess going off that then, if someone is listening in and they're feeling inspired, or maybe they want to do a project of their own and they're like, oh yeah, I want to be eco, I want to be sustainable, I want to do so in a way that's respectful of where I am in the world and has that sense of place. Do you have any learnings or experiences maybe from your parents' project or from just traveling the world that you'd sort of share with them?
Yeah, I mean, I get a lot of inspiration for my current house, actually from all the hotels I've been to and all the traveling I've done. Like just little things too. Like I'm getting people, bathrobes or dressing gowns for guests and, some of the design elements as well, especially in bedrooms, like what makes people feel cozy, what makes people have that nice little like touch that a hotel has that maybe a house doesn't, but can't you bring the hotel to the home?
100%. When I moved in, my spare bedroom was like a dumping zone for literally months.
Yeah,
and that's
same.
I don't think I've ever quite got there. But having that sort of like, how can you give people that little, even when they are away from home, they might not be in a hotel, but that same sort of, oh, what a treat to be away for the night.
No chocolates on pillows though.
Yeah.
But maybe like a little lavender on the pillows.
Oh, gorgeous. Get a good night's sleep while you're at
exactly.
it. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say always like look around at your surroundings and see what's available. Again, when my parents were building, the island called Andros, it's mostly made of limestone, which is actually an amazing building material. It's super sturdy, it's gorgeous, and it's also, you can find fossils in the rocks. Yeah, so a lot of people, you need a really good mason to do the working, but once you start carving away at the limestone, you can create these beautiful porches. So there would be these gorgeous porches built, and then you'd look and you'd see like a coral that's been imprinted as a fossil. Wow. Yeah. So I would say always look around at your surroundings, right? Like in England where we are, people are using they're using wood, they're using, local materials. And I think, it is very important. Like you wouldn't use that type of wood or material in Japan. You probably use bamboo.
Yeah, I love that. It's so easy to just go straight onto the internet and Google and see what someone else is doing in America, but actually maybe leave your phone at home, go out, have a look around, see what materials are right before your eyes.
Exactly.
I love that. Oh, but it's been so fun chatting, Kira. I do always like to wrap up with a quick fire round if you're up for it.
Yeah, let's go.
These will all be loosely hotel design themed.
Okay, love it.
What is the best hotel you've ever stayed in?
Oh my God, that's hard.
Sorry, it's like choosing a child.
Honestly, I think one of the best hotels I've stayed at is Forestis in the Dolomites. Ooh. Yes. It was incredible. I went with my husband and we had this great amount of snow that had just fallen. And it's, again, a very sustainable hotel. They really work with all the local food purveyors, and it was incredible. The food's amazing. You ski on and off because we're big skiers, so it was really fun. The cocktails are incredible. And the building was, they use all this natural wood. They're all about like being one with the forest. And
That sounds amazing. Are you a first lift kind of girl or a long lunch?
I am a first lift girl, but I did have a really bad fall.
Oh no.
Yeah, I had one too many bombardinos.
Oh, it happens to the best of us.
I know, it was the last run, so it was fine.
You know what? It always is, though.
It always is. You're tired.
And what are the 3 things to you that really make a hotel?
The people. I'm going to say first. People really make your experience genuine, and they make it one that you'll remember. You know, you might remember the beautiful design and obviously the location, but the experiences and the people, those are the ones that you hold forever.
100%. The other 2 or just people?
The other 2 is food. I'm a massive foodie. So, you know, you have to have a good food. And again, I love going to a place and having local food where things are locally made. There's an amazing hotel called Villa Planinka in Slovenia. Ooh. And yeah, I think they just got Michelin recommended.
Oh, I'll look them up.
Yeah, and they worked with, I was again shooting for them, and we went around and, you know, went to a local cheese farm, and we went to a farmer down the street. Yeah, delicious food. And Slovenian food is amazing. Like, people, I think, like, overlook Slovenia, and I would say go
to Slovenia,
especially if you want to look at, you know, outdoor hiking and like any kind of nature and tourism, and also the food's amazing.
Okay, take this as your sign, people listening.
Yeah,
get yourself over there
in the summer.
How about England then, or the UK? Sorry, do you have any favorite spots?
Okay, well, I mean, one of my favorite hotel groups is The Pig. I do love them. I went to The Pig in Devon, and that was incredible. And then I really, really love Dorset.
Yeah,
I love Dorset. I've been a bunch. It's this kind of wild, rugged coastline, and I'm just addicted to being by the water. I grew up by the water. My dad's a sailor. Like, it was my whole family scuba dives, so it's very important to me. And I just love that Dorset. You kind of feel like you're just on top of this beautiful cliff, and, you know, amazing pubs and great walking trails, actually.
Yeah, those views are amazing. Yeah, good answer. I didn't expect you to say Dorset. I love it. I'm here for it. And then where's next on your travel list then? Can be worldwide.
I mean, I have to go to New York next week for work, but for me, that's also going home, so it's not a big deal. Oh man, next on my list, I mean, I'm actually trying to go back to Japan with my husband. But we want to go to Hokkaido and go skiing.
Oh, cool.
So it might be a very last minute trip. If he has a work trip, we'll try to ski after in February.
I love that. Best of both worlds.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, well, it's been so fun having you. Thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Thank you. It's been lovely.
Thank you so much for listening to this Creative Spaces episode. And if you've enjoyed listening, please do hit that follow or subscribe button. It helps so much with finding new brilliant partners who keep the podcast going, so that we can keep sharing the stories behind all of these amazing spaces. And if you are looking for more content, you can find links in the show notes to both our Instagram and Substack, or you can subscribe for our weekly roundup of slow travel and under the radar finds. But I'll catch you next time for more Curated Spaces.